Name's Richard Miller from Attica, Ohio. Back in the 80s, I guess it was, I made Master Flyer. I've been flying birds since I was 7 years old. I'm flying Joe Roe birds. I've flown Joe's birds since 1992. I still got them. They're pure. I've never changed them. When I first got birds, it was a barn pigeon, like normal everybody. And I had an uncle that his dad had homing pigeons. In 1945, I got 6 pigeons from him, and then I was about 10 years old. I started flying competition on homers. Then I went into service when I was 19. I went to El Paso, and I flew. I had my dad send me a pair of my homers, yeah. And I flew them with the El Paso, Texas Homer Club. And the first fly we had, I had two yearlings or 2 young birds, and they come in like 2 hours ahead of the rest of the birds. And I flew with Don Collins for I think three years, and then I got out of the service. But what a gentleman that guy was. He took me in just like I was a lost child, you know, in the service. Everybody was drinking beer, and I was over there with his homers. And then when I got discharged, so I got out of pigeons for a couple of years, and I moved out. I wasn't in line to fly homers, so I decided to go with rollers. And I puttered around with rollers for about 8-10 years of nothing, you know. And finally, Jeremy Sherwood gave me a couple of Hardesty or Joe Roe birds, and I was short some hens, and I called Jimmy and said, "You got any hens?" And he said, "No." He said, "I don't have any." He said, "Why don't you call Joe and see what's here?" Well, I didn't know Joe at the time. It took me about a month before I had enough nerve to call him. I didn't have any money. It took me about a month to call him. And he said, "Well, why don't you come on down and we'll talk about it." I spent a whole day at his place. When I left, he gave me like half dozen youngsters and 3 pair of his breeders. And that was the start. I went. And I raised 2 rounds out of the 3 pair of breeders. I give them back to him. And I kept the youngsters, and I'm back in business. This is a 90. My mind's going blank. That's what happens when you got dementia. 1992 was when I first got Joe's birds, and I've had them ever since. Well, you gotta learn what feed does what. That's the start, and I learned that from the homers. You know, we fed a lot of corn to homers that was flying 500 miles. If you flew them 100 miles, you didn't feed them corn. Well, these are short distance birds, so you don't feed them corn, basically. If you want to put weight on them in a hurry to keep them down, and you can feed them some corn. But I forgot what I was talking about.
The different brains helping you with performance, understanding that.
Yeah, there's the protein and the carbohydrates. Them's the 2 that you really work with. And carbohydrates make them active. Protein, the young ones need the protein when you're raising youngsters. They need protein, and they also, when you fly them, if you feed them too much Milo, they'll be sloppy. Okay, so you take and feed them some peas, and that'll bring the sloppiness into quality. These birds that I got from Joe, I just turned 6, 7, 8 birds out just a little while ago, or a week ago, and the first time out they were riding their tail. And within a month or 2, I find they'll start rolling. I don't got to wait 2 years or a year for them to roll. And the thing is, you want to get them in the air at 35 days. When they're 35 days old, or 30 days old, or 35, you want them in the air. But you want them to learn to fly first before they start rolling. And if you wait till they're 50 days old, now you got a problem. They want to roll and fly at the same time. Well, now you will end up with a lot of outbirds because they get scared of it. And there's several reasons why an outbird is either they're scared of the roll, or they're too light, too weak. And the big thing to me is you check your breastbone, and that's where your muscles are at. And these little buggers I got, they'll fly 3-4 hours if you feed them too much. And they'll roll. The thing is, I like about if they fly 3 hours, they roll 3 hours. Not any closer than cousins. I never made anything closer than cousins.
What do you think about Bill Penson's book when he said, "Mate best to best regardless of relationship"?
That might be okay for Bill Penson, but I'm not Bill Penson, and he was 25 years or 50 years ago. We didn't have good rollers in this country until we started the competition. You go to you guys off, I've been all over the United States. You might visit 10, 15 lofts and see 2 good birds. 2 good birds. Today, you can go to most lofts and see good number of good birds. Everybody now has got good quality birds because of the competition. The biggest thing that I don't like is pigeon peddlers. God, I hate them. I've had a judge come to my place with 40 birds. And he said to me, "Can I put these in with your birds?" I said, "Hell no. Where'd you get them?" He said, "I've been collecting them." And he said, "Do you have any birds you want to get rid of? You don't call that you want to get rid of?" I says, "No." He's a pigeon peddler.
Feather merchant?
Yeah, feather merchant. We need young people in here, but they got so much distraction with this thumb thing and computers and all that. It's hard to get them. Well, if you give them birds that are not quality birds, you ain't going to keep them. And if they're going to pay $50 a piece for them, they can't do that. If Joe would have wanted $20 a piece for the birds when I went down there, I wouldn't have brought anything home. I didn't have the money. I had 4 kids and wasn't making much. But Joe gave them to me. So everything that I have got has been from Joe and has been free. Now people tell you you don't get good birds free. Oh crap! You can't buy a World Cup. You got to work at it. You got to think at it. Got to use common sense. And I don't know everything. I'll grant you that, and I never claimed to know everything. Not as hard as I should. Joe Roe never give. If he had the best spinner in the world and his kid out there and it bumped, it's gone. Well, I'll give him a second chance. But culling is the name of the game. Outbirds, don't fool with them. Cull them. I mean, if you want to be a continuous flyer. You know, when I got my points, you were not allowed to have an outbird. Now we're supposed to be professionals and we're supposed to know what we got. Well, if you can, now you can have an outbird, which I'm deadly set against that.
Me too.
I think if you want to be a pigeon flyer, you got to know your pigeons, and you got to get rid of them outbirds. Now, I could give you a good example. Say you got 20 birds in the kit, they all stay in there, okay? But you got one bird that's really hot, you know. So you pull one of your other good kid birds out, you put this real hot one in there. He can give you a whole bunch of points in a 10-minute period, but he's going to leave the kit eventually. He's going to be wore out. Now, is that fair? Is that the way to operate? No. To me, I relish the the judges that were tough. If the judge was tough, I knew I was going to do good. If the judges was judging flutter, that's why when they get too high. These birds were high at the beginning. I wouldn't have ever. I'd shut them off if I was the judge. They should be down. You can keep them down. My birds will fly clear up out of sight if I let them. But you can keep them down to 100, 200 feet if you work at it. This young man here, he knows how to do that. He left his get a little high. I give him some hints, and he blew it, and I blew it. But I don't know. I quit competition because of the politics of it. You know, when one guy wins the World Cup and then his buddy, which flies his birds, he wins it the next year. Come on, you never heard of the guy before. You know, and it's just like Ohio won it twice. I had a kit the following year that could have won the World Cup. And everybody that flew the finals had one full day. Judge got into my place at 9:30. I had to fly him at 10, and he had to leave at 11. It was about 95 degrees and about 85-90% humidity. They flew for about 10 minutes, made a whole bunch of points, and they come down landing on the rough, and it was all, I thought I was going to lose them all from the heat stroke. And I got a bucket of water out, and I started dunking them. And the judge left, so I got 1 hour. Now the word was out that Ohio would never win the World Cup again. I ain't going to tell you where it come from, but it was out. And it's just like when Joe won the World Cup, the judge 3 years later said Joe should have never won the World Cup. He passed that around. Well, I called him. I'll give him credit for that. He admitted saying it. But why did he say it? He was the judge. The kit boxes were about 6 feet high, the roof, so it had to be somebody had to throw them up or to help them up to get on there. And his kit boxes was by his 3-car garage. The birds always landed on the garage. And then they went to the kit box. So if they landed on the garage, it'd been done. But they didn't. They flew. And anyways, I told him when before he started, I says, "You want somebody to mark the score down for you?" "Oh no, I can do it. I don't need nobody." Joe had 63 turns in 20 minutes. 63. This guy missed probably 10 or 15 more of them because every time he looked down the score sheet to find a place to put the number, they turned again. I was there. Joe had to work. I turned the birds loose for him. That's a tough question. At one time, everybody had to have English birds. That was the thing. Well, I never owned an English bird. I never owned a pencil bird. I owned junk until I got Joe's birds.
You can't beat them off the roof.
I'll tell you the prettiest sight in the world. You got a kid of 15 birds, okay? They come all down and they just hover right above the lawn and go down like that.
Yeah.
I got a picture of some young birds last year that done that one morning. I got it on my iPad.
It's like butterflies coming in.
Yeah. Just maybe they might make a circle. Try again. Cut the peas back, protein, more carbohydrates, but then you start losing in your quality then. So then you got to go back to peas to get the quality. I don't have to break my birds down to get them to roll. I don't have to break them down to get them to roll. That's one nice thing about the harvesting. You don't have to break it down. It's a fluctuation of whatever you feed it. Well, I don't have the depth I want. I like a good 15-foot roller. I want some that's around 30. And I'm short on a deep birds right now. So I'm going where there's some more harvesting birds, and I'm going to pick me up a couple. I'm going to buy some. I feed the fires 12%, peas, milo, and
Michael's a little cold today.
I've never had good luck with this plain wheat. I've tried so many damn things. You know, you hear the guy, what worked last year don't work this year. Have you ever run into that? What worked yesterday don't work tomorrow. I was always able to get the birds in first fly for whether you're going to fly the finals or not. I was always able to get the kit in top shape for that. I blow it every damn time I go for the finals. Not every time, but I blow it. I share of it. You honoring that?
Yes, sir.
You dog you? The best kid I ever had was all cocks.
There's a good chance we sold them.
I flew them from September to November. Every day. I couldn't stop flying them. Next year, they were nothing. They didn't do a thing. I actually flew the roll out of them.
But I think, I'm not 100% sure you can sell to somebody for drug money.
A cock and a hen kid, usually what I fly. But you gotta be careful. The hens need more feed. The damn cocks will eat all the peas. So I've got me a container with 10 little cubby goals in it. I feed each bird. Everybody's getting the same thing. Not the cocks are not getting all the peas.
I'm wondering about that.
The hens are not getting all the small grains. I shouldn't tell that, but I do. Unless I got a real light colored bird or something, bad feathers. But I don't have, I just never had the feather problem. When I was doing good, I switched pairs every year. Never kept the same pair. But maybe one or two pairs that produce. I could raise you one time before I got the sickness. I could raise you 20 young birds, 18 of them would be quality. Or I can't do that today.
Well, I tried to do that.
Because I've been out of road or competition for so long, I haven't paid attention to them like I should. So if I do good in the competitions, it'll be a miracle.
Criticize you felt so much pressure.
I don't even know. I was about the sixth or 10th guy to make master flyer.
Oh, yeah.
And that was way back then. Then I quit flying. So
Yeah, probably.
I think I only got like 700 points or something. I'd have to look. But I quit competing, so I wasn't getting any points. When they ticked me off, I said, I don't need this. I got these birds because I want to sit here and watch them. I enjoy them. I love them. I'm better than my wife. No. Don't you put that up there. There's some good quality birds around here, and I hope to get a lot of guys flying the same birds I'm flying in honor of Joe Roe.
Yeah.
That's my goal before I croak. I explained to them that you got to get them in the air in 30 days, and because they roll quick, if you get rid of them, I want them back. And there's been probably, I give away probably maybe 30, 40 kits, and I've only had about 5 or 6 guys say they want them back. They stole them. And that's over a period of 30 years too. I think I'm going to make a stipulation. You got these birds free. If you get out of it, you ain't selling them. You give them back to me. I'll make them sign it. And I'll give them to somebody else.
It's good, man.
Well, a lot of these people just don't have the money, you know. I'm living on 1989 wages, for Christ's sakes. These guys today are making 5 times as much as what I'm living on. Money don't mean shit to me. Oh yeah, in the warm weather you can get by with a teaspoon. In the cold weather, you're going to need 2 teaspoons or a teaspoon and a half. Or a tablespoonful. Oh yeah, it makes an awful difference between what you feed them. They'll eat maybe 2, 3 times in the wintertime here and what they do in the summertime when it's 90 degrees.
Well, would it make them fly longer though, or
just to keep their energy up? And the feed is their furnace. That's what keeps them warm in the wintertime. So you change your feed. I feed corn in the wintertime because that's fattening. When I flew homers, if it was a short race, you didn't feed corn. But if it was a long race, and you fed corn and put some fat on them, and they would use that on the way home.
makes sense? Makes sense.
So I'd feed more peas to them if I was flying homers again. But that's a lot of work, and hell, I can set. I like to watch them fly. I like to watch airplanes fly. I like to watch all birds fly. And I like to sit in the backyard. I'm retired, and I like to be able to sit back there and watch my birds fly without the hawks eating them. Probably 9, 10, 12. Right now I'm doing more than that because I'm trying to get my birds back to where they should be.
Yeah.
I'm experimenting.
Right.
But if you got 9 pair of birds and you got them all in good shape, you can pump out 2 or 3. I never raise over 3 rounds.
But he said,
Because if I do that, then I'm flying clear back or raising clear back in June. Well, hell, the hawks are going to eat me, so I can't fly them. And these birds that didn't get flown, they're okay for breeders, but they don't. But it's good for flying. Nope. They'll never be the same. Especially if you breed them 2 or 3 years. They'll never be the same, but they'll produce the same as long as you don't overstress them when you breed them. You know, raise a whole bunch of them, do everything, handle the birds, look at them, and I like the smaller side. I like the smaller birds. My entrance to my kit boxes is 5 inches high, 3 inches wide. That keeps the hawks, the cats, and everything else from getting in my loft. And the coons. I had a coon get in and kill all my youngsters 3 years ago. I think that you get your good birds from your hens. I really do. Yeah. The cocks help too, but I like the good hens. I get more cocks than hens. Well, I used to go through that, and then I didn't pay attention to what's going on. Now I'm getting more cocks than hens. In my family, when I first got them, they were, what do they call them, rainbow? Waterfalls, that's what that's what they call them.
Yeah.
And so you call out the ones that, I like to have
but they didn't have the style.
the quality or the minute, maybe 4, 5, 6 times a minute. That's a lot. That's asking quite a bit. But if you get a couple of them good ones in there, and fly a kit, and they'll make the other kit, the rest of them work good. And a lot of times you pull 3 of them out, and the kit goes flat. But then that's feeding. That's not enough carbohydrates. Carbohydrates makes them roll.
So Milo
slows them down.
You feel like Milo?
Milo, and basically Milo. And a lot of times I'll feed some rice. Rice is high carbohydrates.
But,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I play with the feed.
when I first got there, you said blue lace.
If you want them to go high, you know, the old saying was, if your birds are flying so real high, cut back on the feed. You know what happens when you do that?
I loaned
They go
I loaned
higher.
him a pair that I got from.
You cut back again, they go higher. You cut back again, it gets so goddamn high, and they ain't got time, they ain't got the energy to get back down. And the wind gets picks them, and they're gone. They haven't had a fly away in 40 years.
Because they were scared about it.
Knock on, come here, knock on wood. It's you should learn
That was
to
a lot of money.
to get your birds to roll, and how to do it. And you should
I was
learn
out
how
there,
to keep them
3
down,
months later or something. and
not up, not
I
way
said,
high.
You don't think birds burrow? I said,
And it depends if
get them raised.
you got a real loose judge
He said,
coming,
no, he said, I
you get
just
them
put 'em up.
higher.
He said, I didn't want to
So he can't see too much. And everything, and they would all move, and he's going to give you high points. What's bullcrap? If you got a good, solid,
Keep him low.
strict judge, put him down low right in his eyeball, and he'll do you good.
Yeah.
And I loved the strict judges. I mean, that was, if I'd see who the judge was, I'd say, oh, I got a chance.
I could tell you right now, a lot of people will see this video and it'd be the first time they hear something like that. You know what I mean? But you understand what you just said right now. It would be very powerful. You know, you got to understand exactly what's going on, and like Joe Roe said, control. You got to know how to control.
That's right. He's a good teacher. If I had, I called him probably every month for about 2 or 3 years. Joe, I'm having this trouble. What the hell do I do? And Joe would tell me. And he says, don't kill them from the back if they're rolling, and the rest of them ain't because they're too strong. Kill them damn strong ones. Kill them big turkeys.
It makes sense.
Sure.
And then a lot of people would think that they're from the back. They're the ones that need to be coached.
Why are they back? Because they're working. The front ones ain't even working. They're just doot, 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 doot.
Yeah.
So, anyways, see, I've been doing it since God knows when.
Yeah.
I got the birds in '92, and '96 I had the best kid I ever had. But I tell these guys, if you got problems, call me. I'll give you the answer if I know it. I said I don't know everything, but I know a few things. The ones that call me, done good with them. Enjoy your birds, and if you don't win and you get beat, work harder. You can't win this by sitting on your butt and spending $1,000. You can't win. You can put all the money you want to in the birds, but if you don't want to work with them, I mean, I worked with them. I worked 24 hours a day I dreamed with them. And I figured, well, what the hell can I do to do this, or do that? Change the feed, do this, do whatever.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.